Welcome. Thank you very much for taking the time to join this session delivered by F24 on the topic of managing the differing stages of an incident for effective crisis management. I hope and trust you have been finding this virtual BCI World event to be informative online event. I'm John Davison, and I'm the Managing Director of F24 UK, and I will be your host for this virtual session. Having been with F24 for coming up to 10 years, I've worked with a great variety of different organizations around the globe, and I've assisted and helped them develop and implement emergency notification solutions, as well as helping them enable their crisis management plans. In addition to my time at F24, I also had over 10 years experience working within the business continuity and disaster recovery industry. Probably one of those recognizable faces at BCI World. So today, we're going to look at the differing phases of an incident and how organizations need to adapt and react to these phases so to display an orderly and quick resume to normal operations. Some incidents may be slow burners that may develop over time into full-blown crisis events, and some may come and pass very quickly with nothing more than an operational distraction. Recognizing and managing the differing phases will ensure effective crisis command and control, as well as contributing to improve crisis leadership, which will always be welcome across senior executive teams. So, a hugely important task is to define a command and control structure for your organization, one that can deal with ever-changing threats and responses that you could potentially face. Identifying the structure will enable a smooth distribution of checklists and procedures for each team to perform across the different incident and crisis phases, with the purpose of supporting strategical, tactical, and operational control for an organization faced with a serious critical event. Once these teams are identified, then the roles in which how these teams may or may not be involved during the crisis phases can be applied through a defined set of procedures using checklists and task assignments to ensure good use of time and energy from everyone involved in managing the incident or crisis. For effective crisis management, the appreciation of phases is absolutely critical, and these phases can be categorized into 5 phases: monitoring, mobilization, handling, normalization, and finally the evaluation phase. Let's take a closer look at each of these phases. So the monitoring phase, it's really all about the preparation of defining the teams, preparing the plans and checklists, while continually monitoring the situation. Think of an airport control tower, constantly monitoring the skies around them, ensuring a safe and orderly approach and departure by the aircraft. Perform your risk and business impact analysis and create your plans accordingly. Develop and adapt checklists to ever-changing circumstances. Implementing changes based on the current circumstances and how this will define your communications and ultimately your response. Creating and amending groups of contacts on who you will want to coordinate with during an incident, or perhaps creating dynamic groups so that they can be created on the fly, ad hoc, as and when the circumstances dictate. Having up-to-date employee contact information is obviously a key factor for the success of any crisis. Ensure your data is up-to-date and correct. Use automated tools where you can interface your HR system with a notification solution for the optimum. Define your communication messages in advance. Create and prepare for scenarios using templated messages and also ad hoc messages that can be easily adapted at the time of an incident and an alarm activation. Now, the mobilization phase. This is when we need to communicate to our stakeholders. We need to alert them quickly en masse with a consistent message via a secure and reliable notification solution for the best results. This will require multiple means and channels of communication to enable speed and reliable responses. Best practice for mass communication is to utilize a suitable, proven emergency notification solution. Let's look at F24's emergency notification solution F24 and how it delivers escalated communications during the mobilization phase by looking at the diagram. So on the left-hand side of the diagram, you will see that we have two boxes. The first box represents manual alarm activations, and these manual alarm activations would be done by persons, physical persons, and those enablements are via web pages, via the sending of SMS messages, utilizing a mobile app called F24 Alert, email initiation, fax initiation, and also telephone initiation. Having multiple ways in which the alarm and the individuals can be communicated with during the mobilization phase is absolutely critical, giving you additional resilience in the event that one form of communication channel may not be available. In addition to manual initiation of notifications, you can also have technical or machine-to-machine or Internet of Things enabled activations. And this is where other systems talk directly to F24 using web services API or via email and SMS exchanges. And this is so that no manual intervention is required. If the system alert is activated, it can be automatically cascaded to F24 to deploy that notification out to the masses via the multiple channels on the right-hand side. And you'll see here we have delivery channels such as email, telephone voice, SMS, push notifications to mobile app, even pager, as well as fax in certain industries. As many channels can be supported as possible. So for telephone voice, for example, it could be a voice communication to an office telephone, and then it may be communication to a personal mobile telephone number or even a home telephone number. So the cascade of information during the mobilization phase absolutely critical so that your employees and your key stakeholders are getting the communication quickly, on time, in a reliable form, and most importantly, securely. Now, once those notifications are sent out, the key element is to ensure that the communications are responded to. So confirmations of message received or a polled response in terms of a list of questions that you may want to initiate to your employees or your stakeholders is absolutely key. So those confirmations can be returned via differing formats, either directly in the telephone voice call, by reply SMS, by reply link into an email, or via the push notification app itself. So all of those confirmations are sent back to the alarm the person who raised the alarm or to the organization itself, whereby everything can be seen in real time. So you can manage the situation effectively knowing upon who you can rely upon during that critical mobilization phase where time is absolutely crucial. So let's move on to the handling phase. How do we manage the incident? We need to ensure we react to the changing circumstances in order to prevent or limit further damage from occurring. So very important in the handling phase. In relation to the incident, your preparation during the monitoring phase should enable you to utilize your checklist and distribute the appropriate tasks in an auditable manner. Situation debriefs and reports are critical for the crisis team. So initial and regular meetings via telephone conference, virtual teams, or in person are most critical during the handling phase. With any incident that is open and running, you need to have operational logs where content can be added automatically and or ad hoc entries for special unplanned events can be easily entered into the log. Think very much a scribe log. That's the type of information you need to hold in your logs. Having the ability to manage and handle multiple incidents at the same time is absolutely essential. Imagine a cyber attack during a COVID lockdown. Your BC plans are really going to be tested at this point. Being flexible to handle multiple incidents through different phases is so crucial. Throughout the handling phase, you need to be able to act and react to ever-changing circumstances that your incident may bring up. So now we move on to the normalization phase. And this is the need to navigate away from the event to enable a return to normality, or near to normal as possible. Ensuring the incident has been addressed completely and effectively, identify what is proving to be a significant challenge, and make it happen. Multiple considerations need to be taken into factor. Changing guidelines, rules and regulations that need to be enforced and introduced to ensure a safe return to work that fully complies. We all recognize the challenge in the COVID era. It's forever changing obstacles. Taking corrective action to ensure the cause of the incident is prevented from occurring again in the future wherever possible. No doubt some of the considerations listed here have already been adapted by your organizations in your recovery programs in dealing with COVID-19. Continued refinement and adaptation of local regulations and rules will no doubt add to the confusion and thus the need for you to capture everything in one auditable system is so very crucial. What is again key is the need to communicate with the stakeholders. Any changes to the new normal, reinforce the message via multiple communication channels in a timely and consistent form. Finally, the evaluation phase. Having a comprehensive auditable log and a series of reports that can be extracted to demonstrate the measures taken to deal with the incident for internal or external audit purposes. Bear in mind, you're likely to have multiple incidents running, all at potentially different phases. So the need to have these auditable records and reports to identify different incidents is really, really important. Time to draw on lessons learned during the evaluation phase and make the necessary changes to your plans and checklists, and in order to adapt your plans appropriately. Perhaps work with new legislation or regulatory controls that have been put in place. Develop and adapt ways of working to support and improve your operational resilience. So, being agile and flexible to handle any critical event is so important. Let's have a look at what this looks like in a graphical form when an incident hits a company. To handle crisis situations successfully, you need to act proactively and professionally. Imagine this is your company in the slide represented on the left-hand side with your employees. And now imagine that there is something happening that is influencing or stopping your operational processes from happening. Perhaps it's threatening the security of your employees. Could be a fire, perhaps a pandemic, cyber attack, a natural catastrophe. What do you need to do? Well, the first thing that you need to do is you need to alert your teams and your employees quickly. And you need to receive qualified feedback. Communicate with ease and securely. Manage actions to handle your incident within your crisis team for both internal and external stakeholders. And log all activities in an audit compliant manner. So let's try and summarize the crisis phases we have discussed in this presentation through one visual slide. Flexible and reliable incident management. So on this diagram, you'll see that we have a number of phases represented in a typical incident and crisis wheel. So we have our monitoring phase on the left-hand side of our slide, and then we have our mobilization phase, which kicks in during our incident phase, and then we move on to our handling phase, followed by our normalization and evaluation phase. So if we look at the initial risk management and the analysis of our threats that we face in our organization, that's all very imperative to our risk management and our business impact analysis that we need to perform, taking and understanding those risks and deploying them into our emergency plans and our business continuity plans, taking the preventive measures and steps to ensure that we are well protected to deal with multiple incidents. Ideally, one plan fits all is a clear goal and objective, but clearly that's not always possible. But fewer is better than more. Taking those plans and working on exercising and training, getting the organization that you're working for or working with to fully understand the value and the benefit. Exercising is so crucial. And then you come to your incidents, whether they're small incidents or large incidents, you're moving into that mobilization phase. We're taking those incidents and we are making them happen, and we are managing those incidents to prevent them becoming serious crisis events. So the emergency notification phase kicks in during our mobilization phase, where we need to alert and we need to communicate. And then we move on to our handling phase, where we start to make our plans come to life. We must be able to adapt and change those plans and modify them accordingly to suit our changing needs. And then we get to our normalization phase. We're trying to get the business back on its feet. We're trying to get ourselves back to norm. Finally, we have the evaluation phase, which really is about lessons learned, looking at what's happened and re-examine, revamp your incident crisis management capabilities. Adapt those plans based on your experience, define more streamlined checklists or cut procedures out to ensure that you have effective, flexible, and reliable incident management. And let's cut to a quick video on F24 Sim, as demonstrated through a customer case study from East Sussex Resilience and Emergency Partnership Team.
In the UK, immediate response to a major incident is carried out by the Emergency and Health Services. Local authorities support the community and help get everything back to normal. In Eastbourne, the East Sussex Resilience and Emergencies Partnership Team works together with other organisations to assess risk of an emergency in the area, inform the public, and plan how to continue providing critical services. One of their main tasks is to keep an updated log and a common situation update.
As a Category 1 responder, we as a local authority have to log incidents that we respond to, whether that be flooding or fire. And we say in our industry, if it ain't written down, it didn't happen. The logs can then go to a public inquiry or to court cases. And they're how we can show what actions that we actually took during the incident. And without that log, sometimes months or years down the line, it may well be very difficult to recall what steps were actually taken and why certain decisions were taken unless it was recorded. And we found this product to be a fantastic way of recording that.
East Sussex Resilience and Emergencies Partnership Team installed SIM in 2018 and quickly put it to test the same year, during the severe weather with cold and wintry conditions.
One of the incidents that we've used the system for, and indeed it was one of the first incidents that we used the system for, was what was called by the press at the time the Beast from the East. In the run-up to the incident, obviously there had been some pre-warning that had come out from the Met Office. So we were able to start the incident before it actually started. We knew it was coming, we had the early alerts, so we were able to launch the incident and start building in those early alerts. And then as more and more information came out and the weather worsened, we were able to start our notification processes with key staff across the local authority and our partner authorities and partner agencies. All of those actions were then logged within the system, and then as updates to the information came out, they were all built into the system. The affected areas, they were all uploaded and attached, and then we started to assign tasks and actions, and all of that was loaded into the product as well. So from start to finish, we went from a pre-weather event to the latter stage of the event where there were water shortages to vulnerable persons across the region. We had social care staff that were needing to get to vulnerable people who were blocked in by snow. All of this information was held within the software, and we were able to also hyperlink to other pieces of software such as the government's Resilience Direct, so that those officers that needed to quickly look between one and another could easily do so. So the system had a lot of flexibility that we could use during that incident.
Emergencies and severe weather are not the only situations where SIM is in use.
We also use the system for events and not just incidents. So Eastbourne Air Show and Lewis Bonfire. Eastbourne Air Show is about 165,000 people that come to Eastbourne for, I think it's 4 or 5 days. And we use the software for the control rooms for that event. And those control rooms are staffed by multi-agency staff, police, fire, ambulance, voluntary sector, and Eastbourne Borough Council staff as well. So there's a lot of pre-planning before these large events, as you can imagine. So also we use it for Lewis Bonfire Nights, which is anywhere from 30 to 80,000 people on the evening. Visit the small market town of Lewis. and there are 6 societies that parade through the town with lots of burning torches and fireworks. So you can imagine the pre-planning that goes on with that, and we use the software on the night and we train our staff in its use in the run-up to it. What we really wanted with the product was not just a notification system, but somewhere where we could have all of the information in one place so that everyone who needed to had access to that information and then could make decisions with the right information at their fingertips. With the way the product is set up, we can bring that into strategic and tactical meetings, either internal or multi-agency. And there is, with the logging functions, we can then record the decisions that are taken based on that shared situational awareness. So really, it was key for us to get an all singing and dancing full package rather than just a notification package. Because we needed to be able to assign tasks, to upload pollution reports, to be able to log calls coming in from Environment Agency or police, and really to cover everything around an incident.
Effective crisis management. So preparation is key. We must ensure all events can be prepared for in our recovery plans, but keep your content to a minimum. Capture all events in just a few plans to minimize on paperwork. Organize and structure your communications. Define your command and control teams in advance. Group your employees based on locations, departments, job roles, or other specific qualifications as what may aid you at times of crisis. React and communicate with speed to your stakeholders. Every second really does count. Using an automated notification solution will ensure the highest degree of success for your organization. Despite all the careful planning and preparation in the world, always remember that nothing ever goes to plan. Therefore, ensure that through all of the phases of the crisis handling, you are agile and flexible to accommodate changed circumstances to enable the return to normal and normal business operations. With the concise documentation and logs, you will have the ability to draw on your lessons learned in order to reevaluate your risks and adapt and update your business continuity plans accordingly. Finally, to achieve all of this, it is so important to leverage technology to the maximum, to ensure you have a solution in place that is specifically designed for critical event management, a solution that is tried and tested within high-risk industries and from an organization that continually invests in people and technology in order to stay in line with the emergency technologies and changes in our world. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and if you would like to learn more about F24 and our integrated emergency notification and crisis management solutions, then please come and visit us at the virtual booth within the BCI Expo Hall, where the team will be able to demonstrate why F24 is Europe's leader in crisis management and emergency notification solutions. Thank you very much.